Hello, welcome to my channel, or welcome back if you've been here before. My name is Beth Ann, and today Pooh Bear here and I want to talk about my pile of possibilities, I guess, for Nonfiction November. I think I've at least loosely attempted Nonfiction November every year since I started on BookTube. Actually, maybe I started Nonfiction November in 2021. I can't quite remember. Might have been 2020. Anyway, I think I have yet to finish it, although, no, I did finish it in 2021. And I define finishing Nonfiction November as I completed in the month of November 4 nonfiction books, each of which satisfied one of the prompts. So just to back up, I think anybody who stumbles across this video probably knows what Nonfiction November is, but it is a November readathon themed month where you're basically just supposed to read more nonfiction than you normally would. And it's been hosted by Olive on the channel A Book Olive for a long time. I will post a link to her announcement video down below. This is the last year that she's hosting it, so we'll see what happens in future years. But I wanted to try to join in this year. I'm not going to stress out about reading my books, but I wanted to at least pick books to fit her 4 challenge words because that's always really fun. So again, personally, I define success as reading all 4 of these books successfully, or at least 4 nonfiction books that fit the prompts. But again, the point is just to read more nonfiction than normal. And this year, I have not been reading much nonfiction at all. So even just reading 1 or 2 nonfiction books would definitely be a bump up for me. So anyway, the 4 words for this year are code, path, shot, and join. And Olive always picks words that have a variety of different sort of contextual applications. They can be used in a variety of different ways, which gives people a lot of freedom when picking books. So I've had some fun with it. So I'm going to start off first actually talking about both code and join together, because the books I ended up picking off of my shelves for those words, I think actually both of these books could fit for either word, I think, the way I'm thinking about it. So first for code, I was thinking of this book that I just got in the mail recently. This is Fix It, Fics, Challenging the Status Quo Through Fan Fiction. And this is an edited volume by Kaitlin Tonti, who is a college English professor. And she's actually a former colleague of mine where I used to work when I was a college professor. And the point here basically is that she has edited this collection of essays looking at fix-it fan fiction. So in fan fiction, apparently there's a subgenre of fix-it fics. And from the back of her book, it says fans writing in this subgenre are motivated by fixing what they believe the original creators of the fiction did not get right the first time. Fix-it fic writers generally use their prose to fix the unaddressed biases that are perpetuated on their favorite character or plot lines by either the original creator or other fans. And apparently this sort of type of fan fiction became very popular, in particular after the author of Harry Potter started to go increasingly off the deep end. So we'll just leave it at that. But anyway, Fix It, Fics, Challenging the Status Quo. I thought this would fit for code because it's about people challenging sort of the codes under which we live, like the societal codes and accepted norms, and the way that those are perpetuated through fiction. I also think that this could fit for the word join because it's people joining together in this really cool fan fiction space to push against the status quo. So it's people joining together for a common cause, or at least after the fact, their work can be collected together as part of a common cause, either way you look at it. So I liked that for both of those words. The other book that I think fits for both code and join is one I've been wanting to read for a while. This has been on my bookshelves for a while. This is called Wake, The Hidden History of Women-Led Slave Revolts. So it's a nonfiction graphic novel, which I think is a really cool format. And I really have no excuse for not reading this yet because graphic novel should be, more of a easy to get into format, even if the content is going to be fairly difficult, reading about hidden history, things that have been hidden from us, and in particular slave revolt. So this is by Rebecca Hall. And so this whole idea, again, we're looking at slave revolts, so challenging kind of the code at the time, the accepted code that people were living under, in the United States, and then join, because here we have people joining together, trying to create these movements and these revolts for freedom. So I think this would also be a really good book for both of those words. Then for shot, I'm going with a fairly prosaic definition. This is another book that's been on my to-read list for a very long time. It fits shot because it is in part a medical story. So this is The Spirit Catches You and You Fall Down, a Hmong child, her American doctors, and the collision of two cultures by Fadiman. And this is about a refugee family from Laos and conflict over the medical care of a child in that family who's diagnosed with severe epilepsy. I'm just reminding myself from the back. So Leah's parents and her doctors both wanted what was best for Leah, but the lack of understanding between them led to tragedy. And I've heard really amazing things about this book for like 15 years now. So I really want to read this one. So we're going to go with shot because of the medical connection. And then finally for path, I took some inspiration from Olive's video. So path can have some very practical definitions, like you're traveling or you're hiking or something. But she also mentioned path as in like your path in life, like maybe your career path. So in that vein, I'm going to read this book called The Happiness Advantage by Shawn. I'm not sure how to pronounce his name, Achor or Achor. It's the subtitle is The 7 Principles of Positive Psychology That Fuel Success and Performance at Work. Now, I'm not typically a reader of like self-help books, but I did recently change careers about 5 months ago now, from an academic career as a professor to a consulting career as an environmental consultant. So I've been trying to navigate like that change in pace, that change in goals, the change in workplace norms, and it's been going really well. But one of the things that I've been struggling with a little bit is, as a professor, I knew what the path ahead of me was. Like I knew what were the goals that I wanted to meet, what were the milestones that I wanted to meet. And in this new consulting space, I don't have a good feel for that. So at a conference, there was a session that was about, sort of getting started in a consulting career. And it was geared more towards like students who were thinking about trying to get a consulting job out of undergrad or out of grad school. But I went to it because I figured it might have advice. And it did. I learned a few things that I think are applicable even to someone like me that's doing more of like a mid-career change. And I spoke with one of the speakers afterward, who was another young woman in consulting a few years older than me, and higher up within her organization. And I said, I'd love a reading list. Do you have a reading list or a podcast list? And so she sent me some suggestions. So I have already read one. I will try to talk about it on my channel at some point because it just blew my mind. And I think this book, it hasn't started off quite as good. I have read a few pages, even though it's not November yet, because it's a library book. So there's some time sensitivity here. This one might not blow my mind as much, but what I'm really getting out of these books is that it's nice to see things sort of in writing and in a framework that I already sort of know. So this book is basically all about how if you show up to work already happy in your life, you're going to be a more successful employee. And it's just sort of flipping on its head the narrative of success that is popular for a lot of us, which is like you focus on work and sort of put other things on the back burner. And then once you're successful at work, then you'll have the time or the freedom or the money to focus more on the happiness side of things. And I've never really followed that mantra, but then there's a little bit of discomfort if you sort of feel like you should be, but then you're often putting other things ahead of sort of that drive. So I like this in terms of like, he's actually done research in this area, and there is a lot of research to back it up, that if you're happy and satisfied, and if you find your work engaging, those are all the things that make a successful employee, more so than pulling all-nighters and being in a really negative workspace where people are really critiquing each other all the time and things like that. So I'm excited to read this just in terms of like learning more about workplaces, I guess, and thinking about it and trying to figure out where I fit in. So this is the one that I chose for path. So that's my sort of pile of possibilities to fit the challenge words. And hopefully I will get through these. I think I have a chance this year because, like I said, one is a library book, so there's time pressure. So I usually respond fairly well to that sort of thing, speaking about workplaces. So I'll probably finish this one. The graphic novel, not graphic novel, excuse me, the graphic nonfiction, I think I will be able to read. And then we'll just see about the other two. Hopefully I'll get to them. So let me know in the comments down below. Are you doing Nonfiction November? Have you posted a reading list anywhere? What are you excited about? I'd love to hear. This is a really exciting time of year. All right. Thanks, everyone. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.